Good afternoon, everybody. Thank furlough it's Friday, and thank furlough it's a gorgeous sunny Friday down here. I hope you're all getting the sunshine. Absolutely gorgeous here. All the blossoms out, and still no haircut. Yeah, April, I'm told, something like that. Never mind. But apart from that, I think we're firing on all cylinders. Jackie is trying to outdo me again in the dressing up front. Look at that. Hello, Jackie. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's sunny here at the moment, but we've still got very high winds and some nasty showers coming through. So yeah, you have to dodge the showers today here. So.
Yeah, we've had the high winds here, and there's a building site just along the road, and the tops of several paint pots have arrived in our garden, which Barclay is thoroughly enjoying because they form very good frisbees. Oh. So he's chasing these plastic pots all morning. Anyway, less about the dog, more about what's going on. And I'm just going to start by saying that we don't normally try to say too much about ICB at the beginning, but we've just had a report done on us by a government department about our delivery of endpoint assessments for the apprenticeships. And we got something called outstanding. Now, I had to look at this in the dictionary just to make sure I had got this right. I mean, I never heard of government calling anything outstanding before, but wow, look at that. So brilliant. So congratulations to everybody. Yeah. Jackie, obviously, from day one was involved with apprenticeships, but the report itself was all done through Alison Wildish, who is our head of quality, and Peter Stewart, who most of you know, he of many ties. He has been involved as well. But I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. I am so excited about that. I'm used to getting reports from Hotback when we think we're really, really well, and they say, you know, well done, and that's it. But yeah, to say we're outstanding, I mean, that really puts us at the top of the queue. So brilliant. Yeah. And thank you to all those people who've taken on apprentices and chosen us as your endpoint assessor.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing result. We've had some really good reports back from the quality assurance from day one on that. We've never had a negative report. I think this is at least the third one we've had, but this is by far the best. And yeah, there's a few little bits they want us to look into, but nothing serious, nothing that can't be fixed. And that's really good. Really pleased with them. Really pleased for them. They've worked hard.
I mean, I think there were a couple of things in there, like they want us to have more contact with students. Well, in the beginning, if you remember rightly, Jackie, we were told we can't have contact. So I think they've listened to what we've said. Yeah,
I mean, the feedback and the content, if you actually still go back to what all the basics on the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical something, I don't know what it is now, say, they do say that we have to be completely independent. We can converse with employers and we can converse with training providers, but we should not have any conversation with students. And no, now they're coming back. So they're perhaps changing what they're doing, but it is a very fine dividing line between how much support you give the students when you're an independent assessor. Difficult one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I think the thing is that's not ICB's way. ICB's way has always been to be there for people and to talk to people. I mean, it's not in our interest to start saying, oh, by the way, the answer to question 5 is, because then we end up with all sorts of rubbish. I mean, we've always been very high on our standards. So it's nice that they're gonna trust us to do that, which I think is brilliant. We can do more in that. Anyway, more of that when I know more. But meanwhile, Jackie, another busy week.
Yes, it has been fairly busy. We did a Technical Tuesday with Verna Gelvier from HMRC that a lot of you will know, and that went very well. We had a few queries coming around out of that and a little bit of confusion, but we sorted that out now. Anybody who listened into that, I just wanted to say that there is a small correction article that's gone out in yesterday's newsletter, which clears up some of the bits of queries that were in there. And I'm working on a tax agent hub for the website, which will give you links and take you through in a single sort of chart or flow way that you know exactly what to do. So a lot of work going on that at the moment. Not too much out of HMRC.
HMRC would give us conflicting advice.
I know, it just, you know, I can't believe that. But anyway. There's one thing I want to pick up on before I go into what's to do with furlough and stuff. And there isn't a huge amount come up today until this morning at 10 o'clock when HMRC sent out their weekly update. And all of a sudden I had loads of stuff to do. But I just want to pick up on something that Garry and I were talking to you about last week or the week before, where we have a member who has a client who has been doing the accounts themselves, it's a fairly new client, and has been putting stuff through that they said to our member that the accountant had told them they could do. And it's all to do with entering large amounts of expenditure for converting an office in the garden, a building in the garden. It's a limited company, it's the director's own property, blah, blah. Anyway, our member was absolutely adamant that this was not the way it should be done and everything should be capitalized. And she and I have had an agreement, and we spoke about this last week because of the feedback from the accountant. Now, with her permission, I just want to go back and tell you what the outcome of this was, because it's been very, very interesting. We went back to the member and suggested some things that she should do. And she was at the stage of disengaging with the client because she was so distressed about what was going to happen and this, that, and the other. What this member did is she went back to the client and we said, you must check, first of all, that the accountant who is supposedly giving you this information is a bona fide accountant. And actually that panned out perfectly well. You know, respected accountancy, completely professionally covered by an ICAEW. So absolutely no problem there. So our member stood her ground and went back to the client and said, look, this is not how this should be done. I've taken advice, blah, blah, blah. And if you insist that this is what you want me to do, I'm going to have to disengage with you. And it was a very firm email that went back, very polite, very firm. About a day later, the client came back and said, yes, you need to speak to my accountant on this, because my accountant will clear all this up for you. So she then emailed the accountant. Within an hour, the accountant had come back and said, actually, you're absolutely correct. Let's go with what, you know, capitalize it, and I'll do with the tax at the end. So I don't want to mention the member's name because we shouldn't do that. But whether she's listening or not, congratulations. So do stand your ground very politely, but make sure you've got all your background stuff there. And I think, Garry, that's, you know, a superb outcome for the member, who is certainly going to raise a glass this evening to herself. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a lot of different scenarios that have happened over the years, you know, where our members have stood up either to their clients or even to HMRC, you know, and won the day. And I think that's it. You know what you're doing. You can't be hoodwinked. You can't be guided differently to what you feel in your heart this is all about. And I think that's the whole thing about what a bookkeeper does. It's from a very, very informed view. It's not as if you're nipping in once a year to do an audit or something like that, and you're looking at everything and trying to make a rash decision on what the business is about. You're being relied upon to just do everything in black and white. It's there or it's not there, or it's taxable or it's not. I mean, I've discussed, I think, this one with Jacquie as well, but we've got another member at the moment who has a problem. She's charging a fixed fee. During the contract that she has with her client, she has moved up from level 3 to level 4 qualification. And the client is now saying, well, that means you've got to do my year-end accounts. You've got to file my accounts for me because that's what you do. And she's saying, well, it is now, but it wasn't when we signed the contract. I've listed everything that I can do for you, and drafting a set of final accounts for your accountant or whatever. And to be honest with you, the client is being really stroppy at the moment, and I've just had another conversation with the member, and she is sending me a copy of the contract just in case I've misunderstood what the contract says. But as far as I'm concerned, client is in the wrong. You know, yeah, the fact that you change your qualification overnight or something or other, surely that as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't make any difference. And our members are right to say, no, that's what we agreed before. If you want me to do this as well, gladly do it. But I've obviously got to charge you for it because it's totally different parts of the service. You know, if she, meanwhile, as a part-time job, become a holistic hair healer or something or other, I'm sure he wouldn't have expected a massage for the same price. But anyway,
You might have done.
it's one of those things. I mean, I think people will always push it a little bit. And you know, I'm one of the worst at agreeing a price with somebody and then thinking they're taking the mickey when it gets a little bit more expensive than I thought. And since heading up this organisation and listening to some of the complaints that members have had and clients have had, etc., I'm a little bit more realistic because I realise that if they do something a little bit more, whereas at ICB we sometimes go that little extra and think to ourselves, you know, well, okay, it's part of what we do. Businesses can't really be like that. You know, if they're offering different service, they have to charge for it, obviously. And yeah, I mean, had somebody doing some work for me here recently, and it took 50% more time than it was going to. And I was really miffed at this until I sat down and thought of it. Yeah, but you know, he doesn't like to do my work so much that he'll do it for nothing. So, you know, it's one of those things that we have to live with, I think. But there are times when the clients just demand too much, and we have to stand out for bookkeepers are in control. And those of you who've read my article in this week's newsletter will know that, you know, many years ago, I got this sound piece of advice. You know, bookkeepers are the people in control. They have the power. And, you know, unfortunately, there comes a time when perhaps we have to use it, you know, and but we're with you all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've had proof this week that as long as you are polite within your rights, you're making sure that all your information is checked, and you're not sort of going off for the sake of it, then yeah, go for it. Quick question here. We've got a couple of congratulations coming from Margaret and Joe saying congratulations, ICB. A great achievement. Yeah, thank you for that. And Magali is saying, I'm not sure, Magali, if you can actually see us. If not, you might need to log out and log back in again. I'm not sure whether you can see what you're seeing. Paul's asked, was last Tuesday's Technical Tuesday available to watch? Yes. If you want to watch anything, because the Technical Tuesdays and the Mic on Monday are for members only, they're now up on the website for any member to see if they haven't actually booked in to see it live. So for Technical Tuesday, you need to go onto the website. You'll have to log in because it's members only. You go onto the resources and Brexit Hub, because that's where it's stored. And on the right-hand side of the Brexit Hub, you'll see something called Technical Tuesday webinars. If you click on that, it will take you into all of the webinars. Now, there are, I think, 5, maybe 6 on there now. There's all the ones that I did for Brexit and import, export, VAT. There's the CIS one there. And then there is the one that we did on the tax agent strategy, and that's the one tapped at the bottom. So scroll down to the bottom, click on it, and it will start to play. And attached to that should be the slides. I'm not sure whether Werner's slides are there yet, but if not, we will get them up there. So yeah, hopefully, Paul, you'll be able to find that. Okay. As I said, sorry, I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, I'm having a, hang on, I'm having a, doing all this in the wrong way. Hang on a sec. Share screen, right, share. Okay. Right, okay. Thank you to Audrey, I think it was Audrey, who this week came up with something that she saw on the HMRC website that actually I'd missed last week. And this is to do with the furlough, the amounts you can furlough. Now, remember the dates for furlough we did last week. But this is the look back dates. Now, if you remember, if you're doing part-time variable furlough, and you don't have a fixed amount, you have to look back and you have to work out the average of the monthly, say, average of the last year's income, or the relevant month, whichever is higher. Now, what HMRC have snuck out, and it's not been announced, it hasn't come in any of my links, right at the bottom of the calculation page, are the new months that you need to use for looking back if you're comparing the average with the relevant month. So we're now going back a year. So by the time you get to, say, next month, which is March, you will see then the dates that they've actually put in. Now, March 2021, they've gone back to 2019. So I'm not quite certain about why they've done that. Oh, sort of January 2021 has gone back to January 2020. I'm thinking that the March and April dates there may be wrong on the gov.uk website, because I think that should say March 2020 and April 2020. And I've been looking at this, wondering what it was that was wrong with it. And I think that's an error. And I've downloaded that from the gov.uk website this morning, because I think you go back a year and you're looking at the relevant month last year. And actually, Audrey, I don't know whether you're on, but I'm going to contact you about this because I think there's an issue here. Now, have a look at what I think this means. If you are going back in March 2021 and you're only going back to last year, March 2020, March 2020 was the first month we were in furlough, and you were basing that on the previous year, March 2019, and paying 80% of that in the furlough. Now, if in March 2021, you are taking March 2020's figures, you're taking 80% of that. So I think this is 80% of last year's 80%. So the furlough is going to be less because you're basing it on a lower starting point. Now, I'm going to have to look into this again because I've only just noticed those two dates at the bottom is saying 2019, which I say I think is an error. So what I'll do is I'll check this through and I will put this and update this on our COVID hub for you. So watch out for that. If you go into calculating furlough amounts or calculating CGIRS, it's right at the bottom tucked in there. So I'll confirm that for you. So literally as I'm looking at that now, I've realized I think there's confusion with the dates. Okay, now little update on the Kickstart. Now, if you remember, Kickstart is some help that employers can get if they take on somebody new in to work for them now. And when it started, you had to have a minimum of 30 employees that you were taking on. Then they moved it so that you could work with a group of other people that were together having 30 employees. And now you can apply for this directly, I think, if you have a single job vacancy. And this is what you will get if you take someone on under the Kickstart. So employers can apply for funding. You will get 100% of the current national minimum wage for 25 hours a week for 6 months. This is the support is there for 6 months. Employers' national insurance are also paid, and the minimum pension contributions, the employers' pension contributions will also be paid. So that's the funding that you get, and we'll pay them 6 months, 25 hours a week at the national minimum wage, depending on their age, okay? Now, in addition, there is a one-off grant of £1,500 per placement. Now, this is for setup costs, which goes towards training, employability support, and IT equipment, software, uniforms, or personal protection equipment. So you've got £1,500 for each person you take on to go towards employing them, setting them up, getting them set, getting them an equipment. Now, £1,500 isn't a huge amount when you look at what you might have to do for them, but it's still better. And there's a further, now I think this is the update that came out this week. There's a further £360 for admin costs. Now, don't forget, if you are using some form of like an employment agency, you're going to have their fees as well. So that will possibly go towards that.
Jackie, can I ask you a few questions on that one?
Yeah, of course.
You were talking about the minimum number of employees, so therefore working as a group. Did I get it from what you were saying that minimum number has gone? It's everybody now. Anybody?
I think it's for anybody. I think as of a month or so ago, I think it's if you have one employee that you want to take on. So you only have to have one new employee to take on. So if one of our members wants to take someone on, they can apply for funding for 6 months and basically get everything paid. And if you look at that alongside the grants for apprentices, which are at the moment, there's up to £3,000 up front, I think, and slightly less if they're under a certain age, I think, or over a certain age. But there's if you're looking at taking on an apprenticeship, there's grants for that. And if you're looking at taking on somebody that you want to retrain, but maybe not through an apprenticeship, then you can go this route as well. So, you know.
And what are the age limits on this?
I don't think there is an age limit on it.
And my only other thought was, if you're taking somebody on more than the minimum wage, you just pay the difference. But is there a limit on what you can be paying them? I mean,
no, I don't think so. I mean, if you take someone on, as long as it's for 6 months, I mean, I think this is aimed at getting the lower skilled, lower paid back into employment, because they are the people who will have basically lost a lot of their work now. Maybe, you know, I'm thinking of people in hospitality and retail who are losing their jobs. And I'm wondering if it's somebody at that level who can perhaps be taken on and retrained as part of the training scheme. Now, don't forget, on top of that, there are free training courses available for you up to a level 3 qualification, which is equivalent to A level and our level 3 membership. There is free training available through the government, and there's things like numeracy, literacy. You can take a basic qualification. So I think if anybody is interested, I would say come back to me and I'll give you some further links if anybody wants to look into that. But if you literally go onto gov.uk and put in Kickstart into the query, there's a huge amount of information there. Okay. Just a quick one here about some grants that I picked up. Now, I think we've mentioned these, but there is a one-off cash grant of up to £9,000. And this is England only, because Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland have their own grant money. So this is purely in England. If you've had to close down, then it's up to £9,000 from the local government. Closes applications for that close on the 31st of March. So there's those, and then there are 3 new allowances, subsidies that I have not seen before that I happened to pick up this morning. And I'm not even going to go into what they are because they're very complex, but they're all listed on gov.uk. There is something called the small amounts of financial assistance grants. Now, obviously, I think these are for the smaller businesses. There's the COVID-19 business grant allowance, and then there is the COVID-19 business grant special allowance. Now, some of these are worth millions of pounds to the larger businesses, but I'm not going to go into it in detail because if anybody or a client is interested in looking at this, if you go on to gov.uk and literally put in, check if your business is eligible for the coronavirus business lockdown payment or business lockdown payments, you will get the link. Now, I was going to put the link up, but it's about 6 lines long and it filled the screen. So just do a search on it. But if anybody wants any further information, again, do come back to us or do have a look on gov.uk. And I think this is the sort of things that you might like to know about that you can perhaps talk to your clients about if they're not already aware of it. Now, I didn't actually mention this the week before last last week in the budget special, but because I hadn't really read much about it. Now, this is only really for those who are doing year-end self-assessments and corporation tax returns. So this is a year-end adjustment for capital allowances, basically, because from the 1st of April, anybody claiming capital allowances at the moment, providing it's a relevant capital item, you can claim 100% on the AIA, the first bit that you can claim, and it's gone, sorry, brain's gone, annual investment allowance, AIA, which at the moment is standing at £1 million a year. Now, you can actually claim back 130% of the cost of your asset on qualifying plant and machinery. Okay, so if you've spent £1,000 on a piece of machinery, you can claim back £1,300 as a capital allowance. And in addition, qualifying special rate assets, you cannot claim the full AIA for that. You can't claim it 100%. I think the first year allowance at the moment is 40%. That's gone up to 50%. Now, I'm not sure how long this is going on for. Oh, sorry, 2 years, until the 31st of March 2023. So that's available for 2 years. So that makes it something which, if you do happen to have some surplus profits and you're looking at investing, it's probably a very good time to do that. And I think all of this is to do with trying to get the sort of the businesses going again, you know, buying and selling and that sort of thing. And basically what it means is that for every £1 you invest, it's going to cut your tax bill by 25p. Okay. Now, this cropped up, and I thanks to Carol for this, who picked this up earlier this week with a query. Now, it's March, and every March there are people who pay themselves an annual salary. They, you know, sorted out, they've got this £6,500 or whatever it is that they can take up to the point at which they don't have to start paying employers' national insurance. And they take this once a month, and they normally take it in March. Now, last year, when we got to the end of March last year, or this time last year, it seemed like a whole year ago, we started to look at the furloughs and remember the dates that they had to have submitted an RTI. Now, it worked out that if you were submitting an annual director salary on the 31st of March or the end of March, you could not furlough them because it was too late for them to have had an RTI by that extended date that was in March. So right up to the end of October, these annually paid directors could not claim any furlough. Now, from the 1st of November, they became entitled to claim furlough. But I have to say, my apologies to members, I missed this and it never clicked with me that they could claim their furlough. Now, bear in mind that at the moment, if you are going to pay yourself, say, £6,000 this month, the maximum furlough that you can claim back for any employee is £2,500. Now, what I had missed is that really from the 1st of November, anyone who had a director paying an annual salary should really have been paying them on a monthly basis and claiming the furlough back each month. Now that would, their furlough amount would have been based on what they paid themselves last year in March. So 6, 8, 10,000, how much they paid themselves. But you would have taken that on a monthly basis, worked out what the furlough was and claimed back at 80% if they were being paid their salary divided into, say, 5 or 6 monthly installments. Now, I think for those who haven't done that, you've got 2 options. Now, I've been in touch with HMRC on this, and my lovely contact at HMRC, and I've said this before, is only really giving me links back to gov.uk, and he's not really committing himself, because what I got out of him this week is that there is still time to claim for February. So the claim date for the February furlough is Monday, the 15th of March. So if you have anyone who's in this situation, it might be worthwhile putting a pay claim through for February for half of their salary in February and claiming back 80% of it, and then doing the same in March and claiming it back for March, and doing it that way to maximize what your directors can get out of the system. Now, don't forget, we've had numerous conversations about how many hours is a director working and how on earth are you going to sort out what is furloughed and what is worked hours and everything else. I'm not getting into that. It's your calculations. You need to be able to work that out. But if you've got anybody, and I know Carol has one that we've been batting backwards and forwards for the last week or so, that it might be worthwhile looking at that for you. As I say, remember, if you're going to put something through for February, the claim date closes on the 15th of March, unless you have a relevant excuse for a late claim. And I'm not sure what's happened, but that's where I am at the moment, if you've got anybody in that situation. And last week, I put up the national minimum wage. And just a reminder that, I can't remember who it was, somebody very kindly came up and gave us the link to the minimum wage for the national living wage. And don't forget, from April, these are the new rates for the minimum wage. But the change is that the national living wage is now payable to anyone who is aged 23 and over, rather than 25. So those are your new rates coming in, and that will come out in one of the payroll updates. So that's basically the information that I have for you at the moment. Let me see if I can stop sharing my screen, which it doesn't seem to want me to do.
Whilst you're doing that, Jackie, just to say that we've had a few members ringing in with strange emails that they're getting, a lot of scams about at the moment. And I noticed, that's very pretty, noticed recently that Microsoft have had huge problems, apparently, allegedly, from Chinese government-based hackers, which is a bit of a problem. But it's very easy to see these emails and be suckered and just think, well, perhaps I ought to just have a quick look. It sounds interesting. I got one the other day, which was talking about furlough aid retention tax and how to avoid, how somebody can help me avoid it. And it didn't smell right, if you'll excuse the pun, and because I was reading through, and then I suddenly realized what the acronym was, and decided that it was a complete bogus email. So I didn't hit the link to go and find out more about what it was about. But anyway, so that was furlough action retention tax. But also I've had quite a few different emails saying you can get money from the government cease and other retention schemes legally, even if you don't have employees and various other things. And I'm not sure, I didn't bother with them because they're either just trying to scam, or they're people who are trying to bend the law. And I noticed on the news I think it was yesterday, the day before, one poor couple who the man had started a business, been running a business for a while, and he's just found out he now has a 50,000 debt because somebody took out the loan in his name, and he only found out about it by chance. And very early on, we did find out about this quite a bit, didn't we, Jackie? A few people had been caught. So just keep an eye on what's going on. You know, it's ridiculous, really, that somebody can end up getting all that money. Still, we've had a lot of people coming in today.
Yeah, can I just pick up a few? Actually, Hannah's come back on my March dates, and I think that's what Audrey was talking about. Hannah says the reason the dates go back to March 2019 is that they have been on furlough in 2020, and therefore they will be paying a lot less if we do the 80% of the 80%. So I will take back what I said about HMRC in their areas. That's correct. So that might even make it more complex, because once you get into this one, you've got to go back 2 years to see what they were being paid, and that's presumably going to be a lot higher. So that's why. So thanks for that, Hannah.
One there from Maggie. Garry, I'm going to do a branding photo shoot in April. Do you have an ICB banner you can send me? And of course, I would send it back. Obviously, we would expect it back. Yeah, Maggie, I'll get somebody, if Iris, who's in charge today, if she can pass that on to somebody in her department to see if we can do that. They'll be in touch with you on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, there's quite a few people saying they think those dates are correct, because otherwise you'll be paying 80% of 80%, and that's going to reduce their furlough, and that wasn't the idea of it. So thank you everyone for coming back on that.
Have you seen the one from Andy Reynolds? Is this the Kickstart scheme that provides funding to create new job placements for 16 to 24-year-olds on personal credit? Yes,
it's the maximum age is 24, so it's not open to everybody. It's 16 to 24-year-olds to take on someone who's
so that is the program, but the parameters have changed a little bit over the last couple of days, haven't they? So that's
yes, yeah, it's just trying to keep. Gosh, we have got a lot of comments. Let me just quickly whip through the questions. Quite a lot here on the furlough date. So I think we've agreed now that that is correct. Read the kickback. Could you take on apprentices? I think it's one or the other. I wouldn't have thought you. HMRC never give double funding, so I think you either go for the apprenticeship route that they're funding, or you go for the Kickstart route, because not everybody is geared up to take on apprentices.
Yeah, Debbie Rose, thank you.
Audrey's come back, and Audrey's the one who sent this to me this week. Thank you, Audrey. She's actually got some paragraphs there that it's been modified, and I know she's been looking at the calculator and the spreadsheet and reworking out her figures. So what I'll do, Audrey, is I will take what you've sent and I will get this up on the COVID Hub up to date. Yes, and she's given me all the information. It says updated on the 26th of January, definitely says March and April 2019. Thanks for that, Audrey. So yes, those dates on the slides are correct. So thank you for that. Right. Let's have a look at the chat line. Right, there's one from Maggie about an anti-money laundering there, Garry. That's probably one for you.
Right, where are we on this? This is things we pop in, pop out, and then I get lost as to where we're
coming down. And I can't clear the chat one, so they're there. Right. It's about 5 or 6 down. Isn't from Maggie? Says I have an issue with the money laundering. Oh, okay. So does that mean at ICB, Magali? We will pick that up if that's the case, Garry.
I'm really not sure what to do as they're not replying to my emails. Right. I wonder if you're sending it to the right place, Magali. Anyway, yeah. Okay.
We will pick that up and chase them.
Will you just tell me which email address you sent it to? Can you send that through so that I can see that? International Women's Day on the website. Yes, that's being sorted at the moment, as I understand. But Iris, can you confirm that to everybody or tell them how to do that?
Somebody's put
only for ICB members. She's done that.
Yeah, and Iris has put up the links to the Brexit Technical Tuesday webinars. And remember, that is only for members. So if there is anybody online who's not a member, you will not be able to get access. This website is open to everybody, but the Monday and the Tuesday and the other ones are for members only. So yeah, join us as a member.
Yes, actually, one of the professional bodies who shall remain nameless, which shall remain nameless, actually didn't mention us, but put a link through to one of our sessions Didn't mention it was ours. Obviously, people would know once they come on, but just said this is a good source of information. So thank you very much for that.
And there's quite a lot coming up here. I'm going to skip through the ones from about the furlough dates. That was me. It's Friday. Remember, it's Friday afternoon. I get very confused on a Friday afternoon. It's been a long week. Look back month is the month prior to the furlough began. Oh, lots on the furloughs. About
International Women's Day. We did the load of events we had on last Monday. They seem to have gone down extremely well. We had 2 panels with members talking about their experiences and how they got over the hump of being afraid to go out to work or do work, and what they'd done, what they gained from having a professional qualification behind them, which was great. And Amy Copeland ran those panels, and we've had a huge comeback on that, so that's fantastic. And of course, this week, those of you who have already been involved, has been Bookkeeping Boost Week that was put on by Free Agent. And I was watching Amy on there this morning, actually talking away to Kevin and, banging the drum for bookkeepers. And to be honest with you, Free Agent are very, very keen to work with ICB members, which I think is brilliant. And it's good that we're doing this. And I'm just waiting for a bit more information about one, because we had somebody recently who was asked to be on a panel, and they checked with us that this person was a member. The member's subscription had lapsed, so they didn't use them. The first thing we found about it was that the member came on very upset, and we said, but your membership has lapsed. So that person has been fined and has come back into membership, but I'm afraid she's lost an interesting spot. Such is life.
Magali, Iris has put up her email address for you to contact. That's on the chat. And also, Magali, if you need the query about the banner, if you put that to Iris in that email address, then she will deal with that and she will pass it to the relevant person in ICB. So thank you for that. Philippa's, I'm sorry, I'm just going down. I'm missing everything else. Yes, all of your queries, Magali, including the branding and the banner. If you put to Iris, she will deal with that and forward it. Philippa says, one of my clients has been caught out by scammers through cyber currencies. He's lost £83,000. There's been quite a lot on the television about scams for cryptocurrencies recently as well.
Yeah, I think I said last week, I've been sitting through a number of webinars recently. I'm on the financial fraud task force and various other things that I get involved with. And I was thinking, oh, this is a bit over our head at the moment because it's all about big numbers and currencies. But since I mentioned that, a couple of members have said that they have dabbled but lost, and thankfully not that sort of money. But a number of people had spent between £100 and £500 to see if they could become millionaires overnight. And they nearly lost £100 to £500 overnight. So, it doesn't have to be big numbers. If you've got 1,000 people losing £500, and they're less likely to chase after people for £500. So therefore, it's probably the low-cost entry for that as far as the crooks are concerned.
But it's interesting, Gary, can I just come back on that? Because somebody I know invested in those and it seemed to be a perfectly bona fide company. And actually it was. And they did refund the money in the end after much argument. But what we discovered is that every time they emailed you or you didn't buy anything or trade, they charged you something like £15 a month. So the original investment was £250. There were monthly admin charges going out. And I think in the end, the person got back about £170. So didn't lose very much. And that was a perfectly bona fide investment. It wasn't a scam. It was just one that ended up costing money.
About 6 or 7 years ago, Jen and I went to a wedding in Ireland for some relatives, and sitting around the dinner table at night, this one guy on there was talking to us about Bitcoin and we should invest in all the rest of it. And I said, it sounded a bit of a scam to me. He said, no, it's all perfectly true. He said, if you've got 10,000 lying around, and I thought, yeah, of course we have. He said, I can invest it for you. So I obviously didn't have 10,000 lying around. Working on that, at the moment, that 10,000 would be worth 247 million. Never mind.
Never
why I'm
mind.
still sitting here talking to you. I mean, I got better end of the deal, obviously. Still, never mind.
There's a note up there that said those who, that's from us, that said those with tickets, I think you've got that up there, for the International Women's Day event will receive an email with all the recordings. As far as we know, they won't be on the website, but we have some great articles on our website about International Women's Day, and there was quite a lot went out in the newsletter yesterday. So, and Hidir says congratulations to female colleagues on the World Working Women's Day. So thank you for that.
And if I just did one big up to men, we do have 25% of our members, or 26 of our 10% of our members are men.
Yeah,
you all do a great job, yes, and we will be doing something about the male side of things, and I appreciate there are others who fall between both of those. We'll probably do something for those as well. We are just following the national trends and taking advantage of the inspiration that comes from those national days, and we do have a lot of entrepreneurial men and women and mumpreneurs and various other people. So we've always been inclusive, we've never been exclusive, so we're very keen to cover everybody. And so yeah, it's just a particular spotlight on those people.
Garry, Nadine and Judith have both said, what happened to Maggie Thatcher, Garry? And I was wondering where Maggie, oh, is that behind you on your bookshelf? Has your Maggie Thatcher gone on your bookshelf? It's just further down. Oh, very well spotted, ladies.
No.
I was thinking, what she, and I suddenly realised that there's usually a Maggie Thatcher behind you, and it had gone.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, I get a lot. People say these things. The other, some bright spark once pointed out, you've got books behind you on Hitler and Stalin. Why are you doing this? And I then quickly pointed out, well, that was because it's a book that I've inherited from Amy when she was doing A levels.
Yeah,
I've moved that as well, so I've got to be really careful here. You know, what I have behind there. So
I have to say, our bookshelf has some books that Leslie's had for years when he was studying and very interested in all things sort of European and Second World War, because it's an era that he was reading at some stage, and has quite a lot of books, but they're tucked down in the office. So, okay, someone's just picked up. Nadine said, think she's been missing for a few days now. Right. We still have a Maggie Thatcher, it's just not on site. Okay. A technical query here from Tony. Does the reverse chargeback apply to a builder converting a property from commercial to residential? I have to say, off the top of my head, I don't know. If it's a CIS job, then it falls within the reverse charge scheme. So I would imagine that conversions fall into the CIS. Obviously not if you're doing someone for a private individual, but if it falls within the construction industry scheme, and I think some of those conversions are probably 5%, so it's going to fall at that level.
We had many years ago about the 5%. Also, if you're converting a single residence to multiple residences, it's also 5%.
Percentage is at 5%, and therefore anything within the supply chain will fall into the reverse charge. So that's good. Okay.
Whilst you're just doing that, Jacquie, I've got a query. I've had a couple of these queries actually, which I think you might look at in future. That's about the schemes that are available for employees if they take electric cars.
Okay.
Because there's a special scheme for that, isn't there? A big push towards electric cars. I don't think hybrids. I think it's purely electrical. But
I know it's purely electric because there are grants. If you have a charging point put into your house, there are grants. I know because my son's waiting for his electric car to arrive, and he's got a grant to have an electric charging point put on the side of his house. There's contributions towards that and various other things as well.
Just a few sort of notes from the branches, actually. We had a branch chair meeting last week, and the branches are going absolutely like a storm at the moment. So much so that this week we had a special meeting in West Sussex, which is obviously Claire Allen's branch, but she had Paula Vesey-Smith, Stephen Worrell and Lucy Brown, 3 members of council, but the reason they were there was they've all been through their AML inspection and all come out still smiling and talking to us. And apparently the meeting went down an absolute storm, and they had over 70 people there. And it's good to get other fellow members' appreciation of what it feels like to be inspected and what it feels like to come out at the other side. And I hope it takes away some of the worry, but it does at the end of the day solidify what it is that we'll be looking for. And talking of branches, we've got quite a few coming up at the moment. I will just quickly mention them just in case you haven't seen this. On the 15th of March, we've got Warwickshire. On the 16th, we've got Manchester. 16th, where are we? That's right. What else we got here? Gloucestershire on the 16th. East Sussex on the 16th. North Yorkshire on the 16th. Essex and Suffolk branch on the 16th. Oxfordshire on the 17th, Surrey on the 17th, Worcestershire on the 19th, Tyne and Wear on the 24th, Berkshire on the 24th. And looking at the numbers that are already booked on here, Warwickshire, 45 booked. We've got, what have we got here? Manchester there, we're on about 30 odd there. Gloucestershire, getting the numbers up. East Sussex 24, North Yorkshire 25, Essex 27, Surrey 38. You know, they're really going well. And we've had a lot of people say that the branches are great because you're on Zoom. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're feeling like. You can just jump into Zoom, see what's happening, listen to the information, get in, come out when you want to. You don't have to get dressed up. You don't have to go out in the dark night and all this sort of stuff. So please keep an eye on the website and what's available. And actually, Kirsty St. John has just said Claire's was a really good meeting. Well, that's fantastic. And that also highlights something else because Kirsty isn't anywhere near East Sussex and she just joined in. And you can go to any meeting you want. So if you're in the very northern part of Scotland and you want to go to, I don't know, Devon branch or something or other and join Carol down there, Carol Gibson, you can do that. That's fine. You can do what you want. You can go anywhere you like. You find a topic that you think's good and you can go and look at it. Now, there will be certain local things they talk about. Well, when they get around to talking local housekeeping, you just go back and make another cup of coffee and go and have your tea. Join in, please. It's all there for you.
Yeah, there's lots of comments coming up about these. Susanna said, thoroughly enjoyed Kent Sussex branch. Nicola says, that branch meeting was brilliant and certainly calmed my nerves regarding AML compliance. Donna's saying, can't wait for the Hampshire Dorset one to start up. And Suzanne said, Keith and myself are still waiting for Kerry to come back regarding what dates are available. Do send her another email. I know she's been extremely busy this week, Suzanne. And Donna said, shout out to the Enfield branch meeting too. Yes, we will. One quick question. Oh, Audrey, coming back on the CIS reverse charge. Audrey says, I didn't think it applied to contracts where the normal VAT rate was 0 or 5%. That was probably my fault there, Audrey. Originally, I picked up that it wasn't for 5%, but it is. It's only 0 rated contracts that fall outside. So if the bulk of the of it has got VAT on it, should have VAT on it, then it falls within the reverse charge. Again, there's I think I've put an update on the slides that have gone up on the website attached to the presentation. I did the slides, although obviously I can't change what I said in the presentation, but the slides that are attached to it are updated. So sorry about that. That was my fault, confusion.
Congratulations to IAGSA. It's the Institute of Agricultural Secretaries and Administrators. They ran an online conference this week, and this morning Steve put an hour together, a presentation to talk to them about anti-money laundering, as they have completely different calls upon their time and what they're expected to do, and they get a few more difficulties. And we do get a lot of IAGSA members. We regulate them, but we have a lot of them come onto our various meetings and come onto ICB TV. So hello, anybody from our friends in the farming community. Hope you had a great conference, and we look forward to you joining in with the rest of our events.
Okay, I think we've probably covered most of the comments now. As I say, I'm not going through any more that are talking about the furlough, because I think we've agreed that now. And I think that's all the questions and the comments, Gary.
Yeah, are we done on that? Okay, great.
I think we are today.
Right.
Not too
Well,
bad.
in that case, we'll wrap up for today. It was really good of you all to join us. Mike on Monday is back on Monday, and a lot of people were a bit annoyed that he wasn't on the past Monday, but obviously it was Women's Day, so we didn't want to take up the Zoom unnecessarily. But anyway, that's all being done, and he'll be back. There are a couple of other things coming up, but at the moment we'll send you an email, and just look out for the emails when they come. Don't forget my bit about the branches. Pop in and have a look, see what they look like. We're also working on this year's Inspire Tour and what shape, size and look and feel that's going to have. From Nadine Harrison, happy Mother's Day to everybody. So yeah, I missed that one. Yeah, well, actually no, I was saving it till the end, but anyway, yeah. So that's this weekend, isn't it? Yeah, of course.
Sunday.
Right, so that has reminded all of you who have forgotten your cards and your flowers or whatever else you're getting and sending that it is Mother's Day. So
I might have sit and wait. Mine are actually sit and wait. I've got 2 cards sitting waiting on Sunday morning, so that's good.
Right. Okay. Good. Right. Well,
then Father's Day is May, isn't it? Somebody around about the 19th of May, isn't it? So all the men,
something like that. Yeah. We get the women in first. That'll be great, and everything else. So, okay.
Oh no, June. Suzanne says it's June. Sorry, long time since I sent a Father's Day card. Sorry.
Well done, Suzanne. Mind you, Suzanne's coming from Scotland. It might be different nowadays. All right. Anyway, there's really excuse.
Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely weekend.
Right. Yeah. So, everybody, great. It's been lovely to see you. Well, not to see you, but to be with you again. Thank you for allowing us into your homes, cars, sheds down the garden, or wherever else it is we meet you. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. And great. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.